There's a few things that I think we all wanted to touch base on. So Kyle, if you could, it's been a while, and we haven't had a meeting in a while, I should say. So if you could give us a staff report, how the summer went, how the general season is, how school's picking up programs, et cetera, lay it on us, what you're up to out there. It looks like you got a nice full space of really cool gadgets and growth of grass and other stuff going on. So what have you been up to down there?
Yeah, it's been weirdly busy. So the summer went all right. I obviously didn't do any big groups here. I did the programs, like I said. Those were always full. Visitors, not so much. Not a lot of people wanted to come into the center. Oh, there's Brendan.
Yeah, hey, Brendan. Brendan, just so you know, we just got started. Kyle's giving us our staff report. And Joseph, thanks for recording. I see you hit record, so just so everyone knows, the meeting's being recorded.
Yep, you guys are good to go. No problem.
Okay, so as I said to you guys before, the floating wetlands, the 4 new ones that the young man donated all his bat mitzvah money for, are getting launched. The last 2 on Saturday. I've been doing the live shows for Westchester Children's Museum, as well as here, as well as Sheldrake. And for starting next week, since I can't go to schools or schools won't come to me, I'm doing those over Zoom starting on Monday with Mamaroneck High School. I've been doing a bunch of documentary filming, which is crazy. We're going to be on the Travel Channel, which is exciting.
Wow.
For a show called Sea Monsters, which is cool. And that will be kind of recurring. That ended on Sunday, so that's been a big thing, which I'm excited about. And I feel like there's, the tanks, I don't know if everyone got my email, I never heard, but the tanks are having issues. So I got a UV sterilizer put in last week. The fish still can't get put back into the tanks. So right now there's some hospice tanks trying to get the bacteria away from them, and been dealing with that. So it's been crazy. I still have volunteers. They come when their school days are all messed up, and yeah, it's been good.
Has that House of Fins helped install the UV sterilizer?
No, the UV sterilizer hasn't really solved the issue. So what had happened was the tech didn't clear the problem. Was the tanks were having issues. I brought it to his attention. He didn't clean the tanks properly. They became a complete mess of just a white cloud. And then we figured, so then they brought in live rocks. The live rocks cleared the issue, but the fish were so stressed at that point, their immune system got compromised. They developed the bacteria and they all died.
So it's a nitrite, like a nitrogen issue? Is that why they're bringing in the live rock?
Yeah, that's what. So then now we're still trying to figure out the issue. It's still, I tested the water today and it's just, everything's over the limit. It should be by 100. So I have tanks underneath the tables right now holding the animals that got the bacteria that have, that I've been medicating. So they're back to normal, but I'm not gonna put them back in the tanks, obviously, until the tanks are good to go. So the only 4 that survived were the eel, the horseshoe crab, and the 2 spider crabs. So they're still in the tanks. They seem fine for some reason, but we're still dealing with that. So that's been fun. Yeah, lots of craziness.
That's not fun. Tank issues are never fun for aquarists.
Yeah.
All right. What do you, I just was gonna ask you a question about the tanks actually, since you're on that point. What are your, where'd you go, Kyle?
I can't hear, so I have to bend down.
Oh, okay. I could get a little louder. So what's the plan for winter storage this year? I remember some of the previous years we had some freezing issues and such.
Oh, so good question. We have the electrician came down last week, as well as who came down? I'm having the plumber to see if we could heat wrap the pipes in the closet and put in some heaters to keep the water on in the building so the tanks can continue to run throughout the winter. But I did, like you guys know, I had the ceiling put in and the heaters. So if we can, and they think it can happen possibly, we're still waiting to hear from the other different groups that need to be a part of it, if how much it's going to be, and if it's doable by this winter. But if not, then no, we can't keep the water on. But they can continue running. I can do them with outside filters like I did last winter.
Oh, all right. Well, that makes sense. That makes sense. Nice to at least keep them running. I mean, if it gets, that just keeps them from freezing. But I guess, I know it's a pain to drain them, but just the flip side is if you drain them, then we don't have to bear the electricity and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm glad you're working on a plan. It's not our place to tell you how to do it. I remember, and House of Fin stepped up, I think, but we had a cracked tank. I think it was 2 years ago, Kyle. It wasn't last winter. Yeah.
No. Last winter we were fine. I kept the tanks running with outside like filters, and with the tanks not running, but I had like outside, you know, those little aquarium filters were running.
Yeah. Okay, great. And then not to interrupt you, Kyle, but it looks like we have County Executive George Latimer listening in, so we should say a quick welcome to him. Welcome to the meeting. I'm sure you're in the attendees, but we'll follow you on chat for now. And if you'd like to say something, let us know. And Joseph from the village can, I'm sure, upgrade you to a panelist. Executive Latimer, thanks. So it sounds like all in all okay, except for the hiccup on the tanks. And your school programming is kind of picking up, even though you can't go to the schools. You're working out some virtual stuff. I'm just getting this right for the notes.
Yeah.
Anything else that we should know about? You said Travel Channel. I'll make sure. What's the documentary on the Travel Channel? I just want to put that in the notes properly too.
That one's a series. It's called Sea Monsters, I believe.
Sea Monsters.
I'll get the right name, but it's not. It's getting edited right now. They're gonna let me know when it's gonna get aired.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Why are they in is there a monster that we, you know, there's a monster in Gloucester Harbor. Is there a monster in Mamaroneck Harbor?
No, it doesn't have to do with Mamaroneck Harbor. It's just gonna say where I'm from on the screen.
Oh.
It's gonna say Marine Education Center, Kyle Troy, and I just talk. They had to script it out for me.
Got it. Real quick, Joseph, I don't know if you just got that message from.
Yeah, I'm writing back to him. I could just promote him a little before he leaves to panelist so he could, you know, say his goodbye on the video and whatnot.
That would be great. Thanks so much.
You got it.
Thank you. Okay, Kyle, so in terms of, anyone have any questions for Kyle then on how things have been going? I mean, I think people have dropped in. They saw everyone wearing masks and respecting social distancing, which is great. Thank you. Anyone have questions now for Kyle on what she's been up to?
Well, Kyle, in terms of the floating marshlands, is that what you're calling them?
Wetlands.
Wetlands, I'm sorry. I saw two out by the, when I was kayaking, two up by the, on the beach. Are there two more or?
Yep, there's two more. We're building those two on Sunday.
Oh, I see. Okay, I got it. Okay, so there are two out and there are two to come.
Yes.
That's great. And now, are you going to have a camera that's connected with that?
I'm hoping, yeah. Everything kind of got funked with this whole thing, so I'm hoping.
And is that the same donation from the particular?
This was supposed to be a different one, so I'm waiting to hear back. Everyone's having troubles right now, so I'm not gonna press it. But yeah, so that's that right now.
In other words, there was some kind of grant that you got that included an underwater camera?
No, this was a donation.
Is that? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I forgot to mention the robot that we were building is gonna get launched tomorrow or Friday, so I'll let you guys know.
And that's an ROV, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Speaking of underwater cameras, Kyle, we have a few extras from a study that we do. So if you ever wanted to have, like I could have one to Save the Sounds text maybe help out. with our underwater camera to get some spot on footage.
Okay.
It wouldn't be like on a continuous deployment, but we'd be happy to do that with you.
Oh, no, for sure. Yeah. That would helpful to have like a couple days.
Yeah, we have GoPros and Sea Viewers, actually.
Oh, nice.
A couple options. So one
I'll,
has a live feed, which is kind of nice to use.
I'll email you about that.
Yeah, please. And the other thing I was going to mention, so obviously floating wetlands, so you have these kind of, it look like Spartina grass, alterniflora to me, that you have growing. A thing that Save the Sound's doing that I think I'd love for you to get involved in a little bit is we're deploying 100 feet of sugar kelp, Saccharina kelp off Hen Island. So I'll be making a trip out and my team will be making a trip out once a month to monitor that. But it's part of a nutrient bioextraction project funded by New York State, DEC. And I think if you're up for it and coming out in the winter, which I'm sure you are, because I know you're tough as nails.
I love it.
I'd love to get you out there and we could maybe incorporate it into some of the virtual stuff that you're doing if you're interested.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I did hear about it from some Hen Island residents, so I was going to ask you about it.
Yeah, it's part of a pilot for doing nutrient bioextraction with sugar kelp in uncertified waters, which is somewhat new to New York. So it wouldn't be for food like consumption, but potentially like fertilizer use and things like that. But removing nitrogen from the water in the winter is a big part of cleaning up the sound. And the objective would be to do it at multiple locations. So maybe the Marine Education Center in the future would be a great location for nitrogen removal in Mamaroneck Harbor to put in sugar kelp lines that you could oversee. There'd probably be funds involved too. So
I love it. I'd love to come out in the winter.
Okay, good. So yeah, we'll stay in touch. You can come out on one of our Soundkeeper vessels
All right.
when we go out to check it. And let's definitely stay in touch on that.
Sounds
Peter,
good.
what is it? Sugar kelp? What's the word?
Yeah, it's called sugar kelp. It's, and God, this is recording and I'm not a macrophyte biologist, but it's Saccharina latissima. It's a native species of seaweed in Long Island Sound. It's a cold water species. It's kelp. It's like the big blades of kelp.
Right, sure.
And we're going to be harvesting and planting it, I should say, from December to May and monitoring its growth and nitrogen uptake and other things as well as part of a pilot study the state's doing.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you're welcome to come out. Actually, any committee member and Victor, I suppose, and County Executive Latimer, we just won't bring you all out at once, can come out with us and check on those lines if they'd like. It's right outside the harbor. All right, so let's work through the agenda a little bit more, and then we can always loop back to more questions from Kyle. I didn't see anyone else jumping on them yet. Sarah, did you have any more questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. So this is a bit of a regrouping meeting. One of the things I was, Dan, this one's, or Victor, it's gonna be for both of you. I was asking Sally for our terms. I don't have all the committee member terms, like when our terms expire, et cetera. Like Sarah's gonna be, her term is up in December and I think she's kind of moving on to other stuff. So it'd be good for us to know who's due for either renewal or who's sticking on. Could we get that information together by the next, well, I'm sure we can get it together, but could someone send it to me like shortly after this meeting so I can distribute it to the whole committee and we could start having discussions about bringing on new blood and co-chairs, et cetera?
Right. And they typically, sometimes they've been doing kind of a email outreach. So we will be part of that. But if it's not on the website, I'll have Sally send you the details and she has the control. She has the master.
But I have it right here. Is sending this to you within the next 30 seconds too soon, Peter?
Oh, great. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
And I wasn't thinking we'd have a big discussion on it today, but I want to circulate it around the committee. And then when we get everyone on, Brendan, you joined a little late, but Ann and Doug were sorry they couldn't make it. It was kind of a last minute thing. But when we get the full committee on, we should review the terms next month and, look at who's on, who wants to renew, who's kind of stepping off and make sure that we're in good shape as a committee as a whole.
Yeah, I'll just send you a JPEG picture of this. So it'll have who's a member, phone number, email, and when their term expires. I'm going to copy you as well, Victor.
Thank you very much. And so in the meantime, I want everyone to really think about it. The people that weren't on now, they already expressed that they want to, they're looking forward to finishing up their terms, but take a look at how much time you have left. We kind of set it up in a staggered way. So you might be surprised if you only have a year or two, and let's just talk next meeting about who's on and recruiting, et cetera. And meeting frequency, George, I don't know, would you like to jump in real quick? We're about to talk meeting frequency, which isn't big news. You might want to jump on and say bye before that.
He asked to start his video.
There he is. I should have wore a tie too. My bad. I usually do. I promise. Normally, chairs have a tie. We're ready to go.
Peter, it's just part of my uniform, that's all.
Yeah.
If I was home Zooming, I'd be in a t-shirt.
Yeah.
I just wanted to sit in, listen in a little bit, see what some of the issues are. I'll go back off video and just listen in. I try to stay, you know, current on issues. I love the center. Whenever I go down to Harbor Island, which is not all the time because I've got a countywide focus now, I do peek my head in when it's open and I look around the area. And I think it's a great facility. But, you know, since I'm from the area and I represented Mamaroneck for longer than any other community other than Rye, it's of interest to me. That's why I thought I'd tune in at least for half an hour, get a gist of things. And then the final thing I'll say before I jump off, if there's anything that you think the county can be helpful with, you've got Dan and Jerry within the village administration, Victor on the village board. I'm happy to try. Plus Sarah's a friend for a long time. She'll call me and twist my arm and I'll respond. So I just wanted you to, it's always nice to have somebody like that on a committee who, you know, knows the people in charge. So that's all. And that's why I wanted to listen unobtrusively. So
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Well, we appreciate you joining. Thank you so much. And thanks for
thank
the
you for
support.
letting me say hello.
Oh, of course.
Thank you, George.
Anytime.
And I'll go back to the listening mode.
All right. Good luck to you out there.
Sarah,
Thanks.
now he's listening. You can just pinch him and that.
Right.
We're going to make this the best center in the county, of course. It is. We're going to
It
grow.
is already, Victor.
So thank you, Executive Latimer. So in terms of meeting frequency, I'm starting to think, and I think people might agree that monthly might be a little bit much for this committee. Yeah, I think so too, based on what we're actually up to and the fact that Kyle sort of has a pretty good handle on her day-to-day operations and not needing a ton of feedback on those. I maybe would propose quarterly, like 4 meetings a year, and setting them in advance kind of each season, but I'm just opening the floor up here to other people. It looks like Brendan has some thoughts he could share on that one.
Yeah, I think the frequency of once a month could be better. I'm a huge fan of meeting by email if it can do that. Yeah, maybe just for the purposes of starting out, I never like to go to like the full rate once a quarter. So is it, you know, once every 2 months? And if we find that we want to revisit once a quarter, I think that'll be fine, just because a lot can happen in a 3-month period that might warrant some sort of discussion. So that's my point, is maybe once every 2 months, because it seems like even over the course of the summer or what have you, we skip a month or so, and it's not like a whole heck of a lot happens, but I think you know, once a quarter would be a bit too deep of a cut just initially. And I apologize to you for not wearing a tie, Mr. Latimer.
Yeah, right. Thanks. Yeah, I'm up with that. I just threw quarterly out just as an idea. I think Brendan's right. Cutting that would be a pretty steep cut from how we've set up the past few years. So any other thoughts on that? Maybe we do every 2 months. And then it's always good though, you know, what helps me out a lot is making sure it's on my calendar well in advance. So that's how this like monthly second Wednesday, like I always know it's there. So maybe we set something very standard and have the full year set up in advance though.
I guess the one thing you might want to check is the resolution which created the committee, if there was anything in there about the frequency of the meetings. So I can ask Sally about that.
Yeah, I do have the resolution. I just didn't have the
Okay.
damn list of members. But yeah, if you could ask Sally for a second opinion on that one, and I'll take a look too.
Yeah, I don't know what, I can't recall what the resolution says.
And we can always amend that, I take it, if we want.
Yeah, no, the board would have to amend it, but I just want to make sure everything is kosher.
Or we could just call in sick once a month. Half of us could call in sick. Oh, wait, no meeting this month. I shouldn't have said that publicly. But, let's check in with Sally and see about that, because
Okay.
monthly is a bit much for us. But to Dan's point, once every 2 months would be good. To Brendan's, excuse me. Sarah's gone. Victor, you're good with that schedule too? You're all right with that? Are you about to be very busy with, I don't know what the restrictions are at Pace if you're still teaching there, but is your schedule about to get pretty packed? We should work with you on scheduling these meetings.
No, it's working. I teach on Thursdays and Wednesday mornings.
So maybe we'll do like second Wednesday every other month or something. And
Yeah, Wednesdays is still good for the 4
Okay.
o'clock. Yes, thank you.
Great.
Thank you for asking.
No problem. Yeah, I remember you got a busy fall schedule too. All right, so next up on our agenda, we've got the committee fair. So I got an email from Sally on that one. I think we all, no, maybe not all of us, but I got an email from Sally. Committee fair would probably be a really good place for us to recruit. I think that's why the village is doing this, right? It's a virtual fair. Can one of the village members fill us in a bit on what that's going to entail? Victor or Dan, please.
I think what I'm not that involved with, but what I understand is that the board is asked to set up a virtual committee fair to allow residents to get to know what committees are out there, what potential volunteer opportunities there are to serve, so they can submit their name for consideration to the Board of Trustees. Is that fairly accurate, Victor, or am I?
Yeah, and I think they've done it once or twice. I was not involved.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been involved. I know Sally was the one who was scheduling that. I can ask her to give me an update, and I'll email you about what the program.
Yeah, I mean, Sally did get in touch, Dan, and she
Okay.
wrote kind of similar to what you just said. I just
Okay.
that was helpful just so the other committee members could see it. We probably should have Kyle join us in addition to at least one committee member, I would think.
Okay, that's fine.
Is that okay with you, Kyle?
Yeah.
And then any volunteers?
I'll
When it-
try to be there. I don't know exactly what the date is, but I'll try, of course.
Yeah.
Especially now.
I'm looking at Brendan, but he's looking down at something else.
Yeah.
And he can't tell that I'm looking at him, but
I'm avoiding eye contact.
well,
When is it?
I think we can actually suggest possible dates to Sally.
Okay.
I'd also be happy to go, but I think it'd be good to have some new perspective on it. And really, we're looking to recruit additional members to the.
Last year with me.
And it was Sarah last year. That's right.
And
Sarah, can you fill us in a bit on what it entailed? I know it'll be virtual this year, but is it just talking about the committee, what we're up to?
I'm not really sure. No, it was just being at a table, and people came around and had a opportunity to ask questions, sort of be interviewed.
Yeah.
What they might, and then I think there was a young person who was interested in getting on a committee, and that was a question that their parent brought them, and I don't remember the end of that, but.
Okay. So Brennan, you're up for. I should probably do it too. So Brennan, you want to do it? We could both do it, maybe.
I mean, you shamed me into it, but yeah,
That's
no,
good.
I'm absolutely down with it.
All right, cool. And we can get Kyle in as well. That'd be good.
Great.
I think it'd be good for people to talk with you directly too.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, thank you. So I'll follow up with Sally with you two CC'd, and we can try to work out a good time. And if Victor can make it, he can make it. Thanks, Victor. And then I've got subcommittee planning discussion. I don't think there's many updates. We've been kind of on hold. I can quickly update on Ann. I did get Ann Scalar, who again was really sorry she couldn't join. She had a death in the family, kind of unexpected. But she's been working with a professor from a research scientist from Woods Hole. You've heard us talk about this at other committees. They're trying to lock in a date. I was hoping she'd have an update for us. It looks like it might be a good win. I want to make sure that when we do this, I would like to make sure that when we do this, we really, it's great. Zoom is like one of those things where bringing him down, Simon down from Woods Hole, Falmouth would be harder than doing this via Zoom. So in that respect, it's kind of cool that you can do things like this on Zoom and not have to plan for honorarium and maybe his stay and all that stuff. I think he's offered to do it for free. Again, he's a shark ray researcher, ichthyologist, fish researcher. And I think honestly, at this point though, it's mid-October. I want to make sure that, I mean, I'd be curious on people that do comms type work. I mean, we really should put this out there and give ourselves at least a month, right? If not a little bit more to really maximize attendance. So should we be shooting for early December?
That would be the more lead time, the better.
Yeah.
And have we, sorry, not familiar with other discussions that Ann might have had, but are we looking to kind of like book a roster of people as well, or is this kind of a one and done thing?
It's kind of a one and done. I've listened to him give talks before, and he's certainly capable of like a really good 30-minute talk and then 20-minute talk, and then to take questions after. I do think it'd be beneficial, Kyle, if you're up for it. You've become such a TV star these days. Maybe we have you kind of introduce him with Ann potentially, or give a short Marine Education Center, just to make sure, remind people that it's kind of being offered through the Marine Education Center.
Yeah,
And it'd be kind of a one.
I've been listening to a lot of different Zoom conferences these days, so that would be great. I'm getting the feel of how they work.
And so, good. Me too. I've listened to a few.
Yeah.
And I know has not picked a date or time yet. What do people feel like? What's a good time to capture a good audience for a talk like this? We could kind of suggest it to Ann to work with Simon on. I mean, Thursday nights, does it not matter anymore? I mean, we probably don't want to do like Saturday night. During the week, maybe on a Thursday.
Not Saturday night.
Yeah.
Typically, I look at Monday through Wednesday because Thursday is, especially as things kind of reopen, that's like going out night for a lot of families. And then
Okay.
you've got the weekends. So Monday through Wednesday would be good. And if we're looking into the December timeframe, and we want the audience to be, you know, a smattering of families and kids and things like that, I would suggest maybe that kind of like dead week in between Christmas and New Year's, because folks might be home or, you know, on vacation or something like that. You know, just if we get into December, we get into kind of the holiday rush
That's a great
on
point.
some things. So it might be a time when, you know, audiences are a little captive, if you will.
That's a really good point. I was almost thinking of the flip side, like avoid that time, but you're right. That's like a great time where a fair amount of people might be readily available. It's actually it was going to be targeted for adults. He's he's a great speaker, but I'm not so sure how think would respond. You know what I mean? It'd probably be more for like high school and up would be the general thought process for this guy.
I think the same thing kind of applies, you know.
Yeah.
And we might be able to drag in smart younger kids.
Yeah, there you go. You took the words right out of my mouth, or they'll just be dragged along whether they like it or not. He does show a lot of great visuals, and it does involve sharks, so it's probably enough to captivate some younger kids as well. So I'll run that by Ann, Christmas to New Year's, and we'll see if Simon has a couple slots in there, and we can kind of make it a holiday, lightly themed holiday thing going on with it. You know, that's a good idea. All right. And then the rest of this is really, we've done this before, it's been a while, but like just kind of planning out some potential projects. Kyle, we're really going to want your input on this before any of us just start blabbing on about it. But just planning out some stuff that this committee can do, this advisory committee can do to help you out. Maybe starting with, and Brendan's here with us, so starting with marketing, communications. I know we talked about the Train platform, but is there other stuff that we can do to help you out? I mean, I see your constant contact that comes through. Thank you, George. Have a nice evening.
Hi, George.
What can we do to help you out with things like that?
I don't know.
And I'm putting you right on the spot, so you don't have to know necessarily. But,
that's a big question.
You seem to have Kyle, a pretty good kind of like media machine happening already. And I think, you know, between Doug and I, since, you know, comms and PR are our bread and butter, are there additional things or like outlets in the area or what have you that you'd love to be talking to that we just haven't been able to tap yet? You know, I think that's something that we can directionally kind of go to.
Yeah, exactly.
On that front. So I you know, not to lead the witness on this, but, you know, are there outlets or things like that we can be taking you towards on that front that would be like super cool? I mean, you know, Discovery Channel be damned.
I know there definitely is. I'd have to do a little more maybe talking about it. The first thing that comes to the top of my head is real estate realtors. I still haven't really gotten in. I only have a couple. I think they're good to get tapped into. I don't know, I'd have to think a little bit more about it. But I know there's definitely things I could use help with, definitely in that area, for sure. Because there is a lot going on here, and I'd love to spread it out more a little bit. If that makes sense.
There are 5 realtors that live in my immediate neighborhood, so I'll start you off with 5.
What was that?
There are 5 realtors that live in my immediate neighborhood, so I'll start you off with those 5.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good start.
All right.
That's good thinking too, because they could talk it up. Obviously, it's something for them to talk about, but it benefits the center.
Yeah, and I know they make packets and stuff for new residents and stuff.
Yeah, the packets, I love the idea of packets, but I have a feeling that just the word of mouth as they're walking people around their spaces, around the village, et cetera, and they could just say, oh, and they've got this great Harbor Island Park with a marine education center just right there on the spot. They'll love it because they're talking up the village, which has these great amenities, but then obviously we will too because they're walking up the center directly. Thanks, Brendan. When you say you meant outlets, you do mean media specific, right? Like news. We have a pretty good thing. Kyle obviously does with the local Larchmont LMC TV, but it would be good. Maybe I'm just throwing this out there, and it's not all about me. It's not all about Save the Sound, but maybe when we take that winter trip out to check the kelp, we could invite like News 12 or something along those lines, because that's kind of something different. Like they like kind of
for
different
sure.
types of things. They like being out on the water. That might be kind of a fun opportunity to get some exposure for the education center.
Yeah, in my mind, I was thinking News 12, which is owned by the parent. It's so great Doug isn't on this call because I'm totally going to sink him. His parent, the company that he works for owns News 12. So let's put Doug on the spot. Altice Communications. Westchester Magazine, Lohud newspaper. And, then we can kind of maybe branch it out a little bit. There are Westchester correspondents that work for the major networks that we have, so we can kind of build from there. But I do think the idea of bringing somebody along on the trip in the winter is super cool, and we should start exploring and getting on that right quick.
Yeah, I agree. So Kyle, they typically, I mean, you know this, but they typically like things that are kind of like, they like to sell things as new or like this or that. So like for us to say, hey, we do these great educational programs, it might not be the biggest pitch, but when it's something new and we can kind of market it that way, and Brendan will help with that because that's what they do, not me.
Yeah.
But like new, exciting, different is how you get them in and then get some good coverage. So think about some projects that maybe you have upcoming that are new-ish and like could kind of give, maybe I'm talking for Brendan, but give Brendan a couple bullets on them potentially, and he can maybe filter through Brendan on what could be good for kind of getting out to the media.
I think the robot is certainly something kind of cool. Everybody loves robots. The trip out in the middle of the winter to sound to look on the health would be great. So I think those are two starting points.
All right, perfect.
And arrange to have the seal in the middle of the harbor the day you go
I'll
out.
do my best.
Yeah.
Maybe we could dress Victor up in a
We'll call him
wetsuit.
over.
Start fishing, throwing fish at a certain time and then get the reporters there.
Yeah, that would be good. All right, that sounds good then.
I'll do it. I'll do it in a paddle. In the paddleboard.
Well, I thought we'd give you like the full wetsuit, but then like get you some sort of seal. You gotta, and we'll drop you off at low tide on that little stretch where the two basin channels meet. You can kind of be waiting for us on the way out.
Okay, I get it.
I'm good at this stuff too. Thanks, Victor. All right, so
Yes.
speakers, we covered that with Simon Thorolds. Definitely want to make that happen. Educational programs, that kind of fell off. That was something I was supposed to be spearheading. I don't know how productive that was going to be for you. I'm up for looking into it and doing these connections with standards, but I know I just kind of threw that out there. Is there something else you'd like some guidance on or advice? I don't mean to call it guidance, advice.
Yeah, I mean, I want to, so I'm hiring, well, hopefully, somebody is coming on in March. So I actually was going to ask you more in terms of guidance on bigger projects that we could potentially do that you think would be doable with, what I have to work with, which isn't a lot. But I do, I have a lot of groups that want to do things and like the floating wetlands, we have too many groups that want to do that. So I want to start bringing different ideas out there and seeing what I can do and kind of throwing some ideas at you, seeing what might be doable since you've had more work in that kind of area.
Sure. Yeah. I'm more than happy. Actually, we should probably meet separately. But one thing and let's do that, please. Follow up. Would you follow up with me?
I will for sure. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking right now because the media, getting the word out, and that is really what I need. And I know we can't do fundraising. That would be the other thing, but.
Yeah, Victor will have an update for us on that. One of the things that comes to mind is water quality sampling, which I know you had wanted to get involved in at some capacity. We have, I don't know if people saw it, but the 2020 Long Island Sound report card came out and Mamaroneck Harbor received a grade in addition to 49 other bay segments. So please check it out, 2020 Long Island Sound.
What's our grade?
Well, this is being recorded. I recommend you just go and check it out.
Oh, no.
We could hold a different meeting to talk grades. I think it's a C. It's a C. I'm almost sure.
Who gets an A?
Stonington, Port Jeff got A's, and there's maybe a few other A's sprinkled in. A C is pretty standard for the other bays and harbors in this area, but a couple got B minuses. So take a look. I won't make this too much of a report card pitch, but please take a look at the 2020 Long Island Sound report card, if anything, because Mamaroneck Harbor is monitored. And just a reminder, that's a program administered by Save the Sound, where we have 23 groups that monitor the water for 6 months. Director Shipyard is actually our contracted group in Mamaroneck. There are only private business that's in the study, which we love having. It's also municipalities and nonprofits. They've had a little bit of turnover with the people that work at Director. Not a ton, but the people that were doing the UWS left, and now that there's a new person there that's doing it. And I bet you he could use some volunteer efforts, or like efforts with water quality monitoring, which would be a good experience, Kyle, if you're into it. Or your volunteers, high school or up. So I'd like to connect you with them if you're interested.
Yeah, I mean, I had gone out with them a couple of times a year and a half ago doing it, just to see what was going on, because I forget who it was. It was 2 girls.
Aaron and Margot.
Yeah, Margot, yep. So yeah, definitely, if you could connect me with whoever is doing it now, for sure.
I will. And let's have an offline meeting, but another thing that comes to mind is, so they do what's called this tier 1 monitoring. We have continuous data loggers out in Mamaroneck Harbor. One of them's on the East Basin dock. And if you thought that I think that's something we could train you and your crew to do. And it's some serious, it's pulling continuous dissolved oxygen data. It's pretty useful stuff. It could be good exposure. And I'm not just trying to recruit you, because we have staff that can do it, but if you're interested in it, I think it's—
No, for sure. And I have tons of volunteers that want to do kind of more stuff like that. So for sure. Yeah.
All right, so we'll talk offline. I could
Okay.
talk for an hour about that.
But
But make sure
before-
to follow up with me. I have this crazy schedule, and let's schedule a time soon to talk
Okay.
about bigger projects we could get you involved in.
Sounds good.
Before you move off topic, would you be open to come to give a Zoom presentation for 5 minutes, either the 26th or the 9th of November? Mondays, that's when we meet.
To the
I
Board of
think there's-
Trustees.
This is a very, special year, because there's been so many people out in the water and swimming and enjoying. I mean, the sound became, a swimming area again.
Right.
So, I mean, this is, we'll make, it's the best time to present this. Are you available?
Talking about a Board of Trustee meeting, Victor? I didn't catch that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we could schedule something, and it'd probably be good. My schedule's pretty insane, so towards the end of November would be better than early November.
Okay. Then
but-
you're on for the 23rd.
All right, 23rd. Got it. And I'm going to put it on my schedule tentatively. Those are at like 7:30, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay. got
Yes.
it. 7:30, 23rd.
Dan got it already.
Yeah, I need to pop out for a second, so
Okay.
I will be back.
Oh, you're not going to be back before the end of the meeting? See you later, Dan. Thanks.
I don't know.
We might be wrapping up fairly soon. So it was
All right.
good seeing you, and we'll be in
Okay.
touch.
If
Okay.
I see you, I see you. If I don't, I don't.
I think we're wrapping up. So operations is something that's on here that Ann was doing, but I mean, all in all, it's a bummer with the tanks. I'm really sorry to hear that you're having some issues with the tanks. Is there any other ways we can help you out in terms of your general operations?
Not that I could think of. The tanks, I went and got 3 new contract, what's it called?
Maybe?
3 outside companies, see what they thought, what their prices were. House of Finns is still the best price for us, so I'm working with them. They changed my tech. So right now I'm working on it. It's an issue, but we're doing it. They're really on top of it after I.
All right. Well, if there's other stuff building wise besides the tanks, I mean, House of Finns is a good outfit. I know Rob Bright, the owner, is a good man, and I'm sure he was disappointed to hear about what happened. So I'm glad they switched the tech, and I'm sure they'll do everything they can to make it right. But it's good that you've gone out and gotten some other contracts to check anyways. Good job. That's always an important thing to stay on.
But other than that, the building, is we're outgrowing it, but it's still awesome.
Yeah, that's something we'll advocate for.
That's a far way away.
Advocacy point for us. I think we're good. I think we could start slow here, but let's work, Brendan, in terms of the PR and Doug, and get these two projects to him sooner than later, and then see if we can get some media on those. I'll be in the loop on that, and then you can follow up with me and Sarah. You'd be more than welcome to join as well to talk about some kind of projects that have maybe a citizen science vibe to it, is what it sounds like you were interested in terms of water quality in the harbor specifically.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we'll schedule a separate meeting for that.
Okay.
I think let's hold our November meeting because we're kind of getting back together. We'll get those other two members on, Ann and Doug. And then I think that would be the last meeting of the calendar year. So then we can review terms and review who's kind of on, who's rolling off. And we could set up a new schedule for the next calendar year, maybe every other month or something like that. That could be our jumping point from there. So our next meeting will be November 11th. Someone check that, make sure that's the second Wednesday.
11 or 18? Oh, 11, yes.
Second Wednesday.
But that's Veterans Day.
Yeah.
Is that Wednesday?
It's a Wednesday, Veterans Day, yeah.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, so the 18th?
Yeah, wow, you're right. Good catch, Victor. The 18th could work for me. Does that work for you, Brendan, 18th?
Yeah, it does.
Kyle?
Yep.
Sarah?
Yep.
Victor? I think you suggested it. Okay. And I'll send that out then in the meeting notes, which I plan to get out tomorrow, and update that November 18th from 4 to 5. All right. Anything else on other business that people want to talk about before we wrap it up?
One quick question, and it might be more for Dan, but just if anything, is it going directly to MTA on asking for kind of signage directly from them out of the goodness of their heart? It doesn't seem to be going anywhere due to their kind of crunch. Would it be a violation of any sort of village statute if I were to get a specific brand or company to donate some of their inventory to helping get the word out about the education center, signage that they would normally run their own advertisements or brands on, either on trains itself or, at the station overall. So I'm not sure if that's in violation of any accord.
I can answer that. We, as village, we're prohibited from soliciting funds or money.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to come from that end. So you cannot solicit, as you know, like
Yep.
as even lawyers can solicit. And that is precisely one of the issues that I've asked the lawyers to look into. And that's the work we're doing to see how, for example, we could set up this PayPal account to get money in such a way that it is an option, but it's not solicitation. It is a very fine line.
Mm-hmm.
And municipalities all over the state have this, not to go too far, but there's a little bit of research. And I told her, because I talked to her last week, and she's already talked with the subcommittee working on this. They're trying to find out the different options from a simple option to do PayPal to other larger things to a 501c3. So they're looking at all the options, and she's going to come back to report to us. And maybe what I could invite her next time, maybe on the 18th, that she could give us some of the conclusions and options, and maybe we can also see what happened with all the other proposals, but to give us some tips of how to go about this without crossing the line, because it as long as you're not evidently going out of and doing the getting out for money, we should be fine. So just one contact or something like that maybe is not bad, but I don't want to be the one putting serving as lawyer, we would have the lawyer come back and
Yeah, Victor, that
If
sounds
not-
really good, but I may have misheard what, I think Brennan was saying, there's a company that wants to donate signage that they already have to the cause. I don't think it was a money, there was not.
Yeah, it's not money specifically. It is, hey, we know that you are going to run advertisements on train platforms. Can we take one of your spots, physical spots, and throw up a poster, for the education center? So it's not a financial donation. It's just asking if we can use one of their slots, if you will, for our art, creative, what have you.
And that seems to me, Victor, we can check still, but that seems directly in line with what this committee can do, right? So it's not like
yes,
soliciting.
as
money.
long as you're not soliciting or sending the letter out, but a preliminary contact, I think it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what Brennan was saying.
Partnerships, partnerships, going out, talking to people, that is all fine. So
All right.
I just
I
wanted
think you're
to,
golden for that one. But
Yeah.
Victor, it would be, are you talking about Helen Rafferty? Is that the
Yes.
person? So we can invite her to the meeting in November to talk more
yes,
about,
and the lawyer,
and the lawyer.
and really then make, plans and do partnerships. We had the county executive with us today, which is
Yeah.
incredible. So yes, let's move on and make good plans.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
That sounds good. And Brennan, I think you're totally good. That's kind of a function of this committee, is being able to bring in that type of resource, we'll call it. Not
What-
the dollar strings, but the actual like space. That's a great connection. Thank you.
But let me finish. Once you have the signs, the board has to accept them. We have to accept every donation. Like any $200, or this gentleman who gave like 2,500, was it, from his
24.
bar mitzvah?
2,400.
2,400. It comes to our board. We have to accept anything.
But is this the same with a space for signage, Victor? Just to get back on what he's talking about, what Brennan's talking about. I don't know if that's necessary.
Any service, any goods or services, we cannot have to. It's better to be on the safe side. I mean, we double check.
Yeah, double check on that one.
My
It seems
question
like
would
a bit of a,
Yeah,
that's a good connection. Let's make sure that Brendan knows before he kind of moves forward on it. But that's a really solid thing that they're offering, and that's a good way to get around what I know you've been working on with the MTA platform and all of that.
but no red tape. We'll solve it. But also feel free to email me. Yes, because it's not about saying no. It's about
Oh, yeah.
saying yes. But let's be
100%.
careful.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't want to do anything that would run afoul. So, yeah.
Good thinking though on the workaround on that one.
Mhm.
Nice. Not what Victor's talking about, the workaround on just getting into the MTA platform and all that. Because I know you were talking with a rep there, and it kind of just petered out a little bit.
They have other things that they want to focus on.
Yeah, sure. All right, great. So got about 9 minutes. Any other wrap up comments, other business people want to talk about? We're good? No? Okay. I'll make sure to get the notes out tomorrow so they get out timely. And
Okay.
we will hold the meeting the 18th. I'll include that in the meetings for next time. Dan, we're moving the meeting to the 18th, but I'll make sure to highlight that for Sally in the meeting notes and the email.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. Thank you. It's good to see everyone that tuned
Bye.
in.
Keep
Thanks
safe.
a lot.
Nice to see everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you.